Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Phyllis Santamaria, and today I'm going to talk to you about this bridging of digital, economic and social divides. And I'm going to start off with a little story about how I got involved with finance and enterprise at the grassroots level. So you can see I'm wearing this lovely top, and it actually comes from Guatemala, and it's 100 years old. And it's hand woven. It takes about 2 months to weave one of these. And it's from the town where I was sent in 1965 to be a US Peace Corps volunteer. I was one of those Kennedy children. And you remember that, perhaps you have heard that quotation from John Kennedy, which was, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." And so I was one of those Kennedy children, full of enthusiasm, and I was sent to this highland village in Guatemala at 7,000 feet to work with Mayan women. And I was so fortunate because these are the women that I worked with. Whoops. And apologies, because this was before digital media. Apologies about the quality of this, but you can see, is this the right way? You can see, here I am. And you can see some of the women, but there were about 25 of them there. And we were inaugurating a house that we built together. And we started the first women's weaving group in Guatemala. Now I'm going to fast forward to just last year. And we're going to go to Kenya, which is the second place that I was as a US Peace Corps volunteer. But this time, it's going to be in 2008 to 2010, I've been working in Kenya. I was a teacher at a boys' school from 67 to 69 in Kenya. I was way out in the bush, and I didn't have the great experience that I had with my Mayan women friends. But I did go back to Kenya in 2008 to start doing a project, and this was with microfinance. Now you might say, microfinance, what is that? It's a way, it's one step that poor people can make to get out of poverty. It's not the only thing that can happen for poor people to get out of poverty. But the thing that we were invited to do, my organization, by this microfinance organization in Kenya, was to restructure their business training, because they realized that something wasn't working. Their courses were a bit too academic and a bit too short. So we went in and we did a little study, and we asked the people what is it that they wanted. And then also we realized this course was just not really hitting the mark. So what we did is that we went and we interviewed people at the grassroots. So you can't really see Davina here, but this is a course that we developed. And here's Davina being interviewed, and that's an integral part of the course. We did video case studies because it's my belief, from my experience as someone who's worked with education for over 45 years now, you have to start at the grassroots. People can really relate when it's something that it's their level and that they can see other people like them who are getting ahead. And so here you even have Davina, who's watching herself as one of the case studies on this. So the things that they asked for in this course were record keeping, marketing, and planning. And we developed the course so that it takes place actually over 7 weeks. So there's just 3 3-hour sessions. They're each separated by a week, and then afterwards there's a whole month. And in that, every day of those 7 weeks, people have to keep cash in and cash out. And they even go and do it with their families. And they've said, this really stops arguments, not only in our businesses, but in our families, because people can actually see how we're using our money. And one of the things that we learned is that this enterprise training needs to come before people get a microfinance loan. Because now you'll be hearing stories. There's a lot of problems with microfinance because in some places there's too many lenders giving loans to too many people in urban areas, just like we've done with credit cards. But it's like what we have to do, like all of us as entrepreneurs have to do, you have to go back to the basics. Unless you actually have a really good record all the time of what you're doing, it just doesn't work. So this is what we're doing now. We've trained trainers. Here you see David. And they were learning to hook up the laptop with the projector. because technology is such a great carrot. Why shouldn't they also have access to these things? But rather than having one laptop for a child in a school, as some people advocate, you can have a small amount of equipment and you can reach thousands of people this way. And here you can see Nancy. She's explaining, and here we have our cash in, cash out book. And this is Nora Bully, because we give courses about microfinance to people here in the UK, and then they work as volunteers with us, developing the courses. Nora works full-time at the Charity Bank here in the UK, and she's gone to Kenya twice to work on this. But this is the important thing, that we're training trainers at the grassroots. And these people are not university graduates. They're people with a few years of education, but they really know how to walk the talk because they're doing it in their own businesses. And here they are again, putting together the equipment. And we did a presentation at the Microcredit Summit for Africa and the Middle East. This was in April of last year. This is Margaret Owiro, who is a serial entrepreneur. When I first met her, she had just started a secondhand clothes shop. I told her about keeping records. Then we featured her in our training. She has then gone to teach the people on her staff. She now has a pub and she has a secondhand clothes stall. And she puts it down to the fact that she's had training and mentoring. And she's only had one small loan of £200. And she has also taken the advice that she hasn't got into debt. And here we are at the Microcredit Summit with Professor Muhammad Yunus. This is Nora and myself. And then these are the trainers, because there were 18 of the trainers from the slums of Nairobi who were doing the presentation with us at the Microcredit Summit. We were the only ones who actually had people from the grassroots doing the presentation. And now we are working on developing micro-franchises, because microfinance on its own is not enough. People need to have something like a business in a box. And so here you can see Mercy. This is in the western part of Kenya. We're doing a project with UNIDO, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Mercy actually is an electrical engineer. But they were putting together rechargeable LED lamps. 80% of people in Kenya still use kerosene for their lighting. And so there's a real need for projects where we're using rechargeable lamps. However, the real challenge is you can't just say to someone, go and sell the lamp. They need to know the whole structure of how to do the business. And so we're combined with them to do the enterprise training. And now let's go fast forward to Guatemala. And this is January this year. I went to Guatemala in October, and I showed the second and third generation of the people that I've worked with in Guatemala about the enterprise course. And I got together these people. Now they have, some of them are doctors, some of them are teachers, clinical psychologists, some of them still run the weaving businesses. But they said, look, Doña Felisa, we have grown, but we have not developed. We still have huge environmental problems. We are affected by globalization. We want to be able to take part in this, just like everyone else. So now we're working together, and my main premise is that people have to start with the enterprise training. So these are the nephews, and this is the daughter. You can't see everyone here so well because of the lighting. And I am in London, and I'm delivering this course via Skype. They organize themselves to be on time and working as a group, just like we work with groups in Kenya. And what we're going to be doing with this first stage is enterprise training. No one can take part in our programs until they themselves have got their own records, their own marketing, their own planning in order. Because all of us have to start with ourselves first. And now, the next stage of what we're going to do is a community tourism project. And we're also developing, we're improving their exports. I've found a designer from New York who's going to go and work with them. And they are organizing how they're going to be doing the work with the designs that she's doing, and then arranging for the exporting. She's going to be finding the market for them. We're also having students from the London School of Economics going and working with them this summer as the first stage of what they're doing for the community tourism. because they realize they have to do it in a sensitive way that all of the school children learn about what they're doing, so that it's not where you have some tourists coming in and people start swamping them, but that they would be very much partners in this. Now, I'm going to go even more full circle and come to the UK. My organization, Microfinance Without Borders, is now working with the Centre for Sustainable Development here in the UK, which is based on a location near Epping Forest, which is within the M25. It's accessible. This location is accessible via underground and then a 10 minutes drive from there. And what we're doing is that we're starting to work with, in the UK, we are working with 14 to 16-year-olds who are excluded from school. And they are doing vocational programs for sustainable development. Because if 14 to 16-year-olds get out of the system, if they really get lost, then they will be a huge cost, not only to themselves, their families, but to the whole economy. And of course, there's such a great social deprivation there. So the common features that we are doing for our vocational programs for sustainable development is that it has to be from the inside out. I consider that this kind of development is very much a spiritual thing. Someone has to be doing it from really their own personal journey and realizing that it is that their own lives are at stake in this in terms of the environment as well as our society. It's from the grassroots up. Like I said, we got the wisdom from the people at the grassroots in Kenya. When things are done completely top down, they just don't work. We're bridging divides with the technology because it's not that expensive. We're using Skype. We put the things up on Google Documents. And then the other things is our enterprise programs are pre the time that someone gets their microfinance credit. We're developing micro-franchises, and we're developing partnerships with a lot of organizations here, and we'll be working with projects in Kenya, in Ghana, in Guatemala, and also in India. And we are creating templates for how people can work effectively with people at the grassroots and use technology to do this. And so this is where we'll be working with our training and franchises now. I forgot to put Ghana up there, and I know one of my colleagues is going to get me for that. And so what I would like to do is to invite you to look at the model of what we're doing. I would invite you, if you're interested in doing grassroots development, come to us, and we'll be very pleased to work with you.